Reality is one of those things, right? It's the most familiar thing in the world, and at the same time, it's the most mysterious thing we'll ever encounter. It's kind of funny. We know more about planets light years away than we do about the very fabric of our own existence. And that's a paradox we're living inside, every single moment of every single day.
So what's the deal with that? Why is it that the thing that feels the most solid, the most obvious, why does it completely fall apart the second you start to really look at it? I mean, for most of human history, we just took it at face value. Rocks are hard because, well, they're rocks. But then you have philosophers, mystics, and even modern scientists, and they all, from their different corners of the world, arrived at the same, really unsettling conclusion.
And that's really our jumping off point today. This idea that the world is just not as straightforward as it seems. We're going to go down the rabbit hole of reality, and let me tell you, it goes way, way deeper than you might think. It's almost like it comes in layers. And the deeper we peel back those layers, the weirder things are going to get.
All right, let's start our descent. We'll begin with the first 3 levels. Now, these are all about the realities we kind of build for ourselves. The shared illusions that make up our day-to-day world.
So, level 1. This is the surface level, right? We can call it consensus reality. It's the world you wake up in every morning. It's where tables feel solid and the ground under your feet feels, well, like ground. Think of it like a stage set for our existence. It's this unspoken agreement we all have that, yep, this is the world and we're all seeing the same show. But that's the thing. It is just a stage set. And it makes you wonder, what's going on behind the curtain?
Well, at level 2, we start to pull that curtain back a little. And this is where we realize that reality isn't something that's just out there. A huge part of it is constructed right in here, inside your own brain. See, your senses don't give you this direct, unfiltered live stream of the world. Nope, they just deliver these little fragments, this chaos of raw data, and your brain has to work incredibly hard to stitch it all together into something that makes sense.
Take vision, for example. It's perfect. What your brain actually gets from your eyes is this scrambled, upside-down, two-dimensional pattern of electrical signals. It has to flip the image right side up, stitch together the blind spots where your optic nerve is, and just fill in all the missing details. So what you think of as just seeing, it's not a live feed at all. It's a best-guess reconstruction that's been heavily edited and smoothed over, so you don't notice all the messy seams.
And this shows you this fascinating gap, right? The outside world comes at us as just raw data, wavelengths of light, vibrations in the air, random chemicals. And it's our brain that translates all that stuff into our rich, subjective reality of colors, sounds, and tastes. The philosopher Donald Hoffman has a great name for this. He calls it the user interface theory. Your perception of reality is basically like the desktop on your computer. It's a super useful set of icons, right? But those icons are not the true machinery, the code and electricity that's running underneath.
Okay, this idea builds even more as we get to level 3. And this is where things start to get really slippery. Because at this level, reality isn't just about perception anymore. Now, it's about interpretation. It's a shared story that we all collectively agree to live inside.
I mean, just think about something like money. Physically, what is it? It's just pieces of paper or pixels on a screen. But because we all believe in it, it becomes this incredible force that can literally shape your entire life. Or what about borders? They're just invisible lines we drew on a map, but they're powerful enough to decide if you're safe or in danger, if you're wealthy or poor. These are totally abstract ideas, but they are every bit as real in their consequences as a mountain range. The anthropologist Clifford Geertz had a beautiful term for this. He said we are suspended in webs of significance. We spin these webs of belief ourselves, we get tangled up in them, and we pass them down from one generation to the next. So you see, at this level, reality isn't just something you observe. It's something you're actively helping to build every single day.
Okay, so now we're at a major turning point. Because at level 4, science itself, the one tool we have to try and find objective truth, it steps in and basically reveals that the entire foundation of reality is, well, it's cracked. It's not what we think it is at all.
Let me just ask you something. How solid is the table in front of you, or the phone in your hand? It feels solid, right? Of course it does. But what science actually shows us is, well, it's deeply, deeply counterintuitive. Check this out. The atoms that make up that table, and you for that matter, are 99.9999999% empty space. So here's the wild part. You never actually touch anything. The feeling of solidity you get, that's just the electromagnetic forces of the atoms in your hand repelling the atoms in the table. It's an illusion created by force fields. It's mind-boggling.
And it's not just solid matter that's weird. It's time, too. Einstein's relativity completely shattered our everyday concept of time. It isn't this constant, universal river that flows forward for everyone at the same speed. Nope. It can actually stretch and bend, depending on how fast you're moving and how strong gravity is. An astronaut orbiting the Earth literally ages slower than we do down here on the ground. And that's not science fiction. That's a proven experimental fact.
And then you get to quantum mechanics, which just blows the whole thing wide open. At the subatomic level, particles don't even have a definite location. They just exist as these fuzzy waves of probability, until you measure them. The physicist J.A. Wheeler had this quote that just captures it perfectly. It's almost like reality refuses to make up its mind, to pick a definite state, until we're actually looking at it. So get this. Observation doesn't just reveal reality. In some very real sense, it helps create.
So, okay, if our best science tells us that reality is this provisional, strange, observer-dependent thing, where on Earth do we go from there? Well, we go beyond the veil. We're heading into the final and most mind-bending layers of reality.
Level 5 brings us to the simulation hypothesis. The argument, which was really popularized by the philosopher Nick Bostrom, is actually pretty simple when you break it down. If it's even possible for a civilization to create super realistic, simulated realities, and they could create thousands or millions or billions of them, then what are the odds that we are in the one original base reality? The odds are vanishingly small. And from inside the system, how would you ever even know? The laws of physics we observe, they could just be the underlying code of the simulation.
Now, at level 6, we shift gears a bit. Modern philosophy and physics give way to something much, much older: mysticism. For thousands of years across countless cultures, mystics have been saying what physicists are only now starting to whisper: that the world you see around you, it isn't the real world. It's a veil. It's an illusion.
In Hinduism, this illusion is called Maya. In Buddhism, it's samsara. In Gnosticism, it's called the false world. It's incredible, really. Across all these different traditions, the fundamental message is exactly the same. Our everyday world is not as real as it seems, and there is a deeper, more fundamental reality hiding just behind it.
And this leads to a really profound shift in perspective. See, mystics and long-term meditators often describe this experience where the boundary between me and the world just dissolves. The chair, the floor, their own body, it all becomes one continuous field of experience. At this level, that line between the observer and the observed, it just collapses, and all that's left is unity.
And that brings us, finally, to the last level, level 7. This is the place where every model we have, every theory, every single word we could possibly use, just collapses. This is the unknowable, the ultimate ground of being, where our language it runs out of road.
There's this ancient line from the Tao Te Ching that just says it all perfectly. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. The moment you try to pin it down to define or name ultimate reality, you've already missed the point. It's like the map is not the territory, right? The word water will never be wet. Whatever reality ultimately is, it's just fundamentally beyond our human concepts. So this whole journey through all 7 of these levels, it doesn't just show us how strange the world is. It shows us how profoundly strange it is to even be here at all, to be a conscious being asking these questions. And it kind of leaves us with this final thought. What if reality isn't one single destination, not a puzzle to be solved? What if the deepest truth is the layering itself? The way the obvious is always hiding something incomprehensible right beneath the surface. And maybe, just maybe, reality isn't one of these levels. Maybe it's all of them, all at once.